Soil conditions. If you got a really heavy soil that's really thick and compact, you haven't been aerifying, soil conditions are going to have a big effect. If it's summertime and it's drier, if it's spring or fall and it's very wet, how firm the soil is will affect how far the rollers sink down into this grass. Roller shape and surface area. We get a smooth roller versus a grooved roller. I went into the R&R book and I looked up a Greens King 4 with unit right there. That Jacobson, when you go to rollers, there's 7 options for front rollers. That's a lot of different options. The rear roller, there's 5 options. So you got 5 different options there, everything from a smooth roller to a wide groove to a thin groove to ones with a dip in the center. A lot of differences in rollers. Those are going to affect how far they sink down into the grass. If you've got flat rollers, they're going to ride up higher. If it's got groove, they're going to sink down in. Grass type. Grass type makes a big difference. If you're dealing with Bermuda grass, it's coarse grass, you're going to go on top. If you got real fine grass like we have in this area, you're going to sink down in more. In order to evaluate your quality of cut, what you really need to use is a prism gauge. And so it actually sits down in the grass and it's got a prism. It's a triangular prism. So when you look straight down, it turns your line of sight 90 degrees and there's a scale there. And you set it down into the grass and it actually looks right across the top of the grass, and you can actually read how tall is the grass that you're cutting. What is the actual height of the grass? And so that's the only true way to know is by using a prism gauge. It actually, if you're trying to figure out how fast your grass is growing, you can go out there in the morning after they've cut, measure the height of the grass, come back in the afternoon, measure the height of grass, and see how fast your grass is growing. And so as far as the management standpoint, it tells you and lets you know, how's my grass growing? Should I be mowing twice a day? Should I mow once a day? Can I mow every 2 days? How often do I need to be mowing to keep my quality cut where it needs to be? This is about the best picture they have, which is a very poor picture. And when you look down in, it's basically a square block with looks like a glass triangle in it. And when you look across or look down into it, this is actually a scale. There'll be numbers here that tell you what the height of the grass is. And that's the best picture I have, and but it tells you exactly what your grass is doing. So if you're concerned about it, that's the only way to really know. The other thing that we're looking at when it comes to reels is the frequency of clip. The quality of your cut and how it looks when you're done is directly affected by the frequency of clip. And FOC's initials for it, that's the distance traveled between 2 consecutive cuts. That's the different distance your reel moves between one blade cutting a bunch of grass and the next blade cutting a bunch of grass. What that difference is. Several things affect the frequency of cut. One of them is the number of blades. When you look at a reel mower, I'm trying to cut really, really short. You'll find that there's lots of blades. Fairway mowers, we're trying to cut a higher height of cut. We're going to actually have less blades. 3 things that affect frequency of clip: the number of blades, the speed that the reel is turning, and how fast you're physically moving your machine. So how fast your foot or how heavy your foot is. The third one, or fourth one, is going to be the height of cut. How high am I trying to cut my grass? These 4 factors determine the frequency of cut.